All right, so the countdown going. All right, brothers, we're live.
All right, shalom, 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 shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to
Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakadash.
the honor city apostles and elders, a great millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect. It's pushing this word, man. So we're going to do another class. We're doing a kind of like an overview of Gideon, you know, the man Gideon in the scriptures. Matter of fact, I guess we could start off with that scripture in Hebrews 11 and 32, you know, just to kind of get a little bit of the sentiment. Yeah, about
Hebrews 11 and 32. And it reads, and what shall I say, or Salaki, and what shall I more say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon and of Barak and of Samson and of Jephthah, of David also and Samuel and of the prophets.
Right, because, you know, in that letter that we believe Paul was the author of that letter, you know, there's only so much information that you could put in a letter. And, you know, he wrote a lot in that letter. But the point being made is he was making mention of men in that chapter, you know, men of Israel that displayed faith throughout our generations. And, you know, he named some names, you know, Abraham, Moses, Isaac, Jacob, so on and so forth. But there's more, you know, and he named a couple more. These were men that have compelling stories that are listed out in Judges and 1 Samuel. And so we're going to go ahead and start off with Judges, the 6th chapter. And we're going to try to get through chapter 6, 7, and 8 if we have time. But definitely the first 2 chapters. So, you know, brothers have precepts, that's cool, but we're gonna be doing mostly reading too.
Let's do it.
So, whoever got that can go ahead and get
Judges 6.
Okay. This is Judges chapter 6 and verse 1. It says, and the children of Israel did evil before the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of Midian 7 years.
Right. So the Midianites were located. Let me just show a map real quick. The Midianites were located south of the Edomites, right? So that's why I wanted to just pull up this map. Let me see if this is sufficient. See, this doesn't. I'm trying to pull up a map that actually has an illustration. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Maybe my Bible has one. Because basically, when you go and read about the history of Joshua, you know, Joshua was letting our people know, hey, look, you know, if y'all decide to go off talking to the Israelites and not listen to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, then he was gonna cause the other nations to come up to us, man. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is a decent one right here. This is a route of the Exodus. It might be a little dark, but
It'll adjust to it.
yeah. So you have the land of Canaan, which is Israel.
There you go.
Okay, you have the land of Canaan right here, which is Israel, the land of Israel that we inhabited, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the land of Ammon on the other side of the Jordan River. Okay, Moab, Edom to the south. You got Amalek also to the south, the water. And then down here, you can see where it says Midian. So the Midianites were basically adjacent to the Gulf of Aqaba, okay? And they basically came up and infiltrated, you know, through the south, through this route. They infiltrated the land of Canaan, right? So these tribes here, this is a closer up map of the land of Canaan. Judah, Simeon, you know, Reuben, so on and so forth. They were catching hell, like, because they had the Midianites coming up from the south. So just kind of giving a backdrop of the story, you know what I'm saying, before we get into it, so we know where these people came from. But go ahead, Baal Kusham Charles.
Verse 2, it says, and the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel, and because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made them the dens which are in the mountains and caves and strongholds.
Right. So you hear a lot of instances where Israel would hide themselves in caves and stuff like that when we were being besieged by various different nations. And basically, that's where these came from. These caves, you can read about them. Also, David used them. He fled, and you know, when he was out there being persecuted by, you know, various different people, he would you know, how he would be out there in those caves and those dens. So that those were actually made due to the fact that the Midianites were persecuting Israel for those 7 years. You got it, brother.
Verse 3. It says, and so it was when Israel had sown that the Midianites came up, and the Amalekites and the children of the east, even they came up against them.
Right. So we already saw the land that the Amalekites possessed, which is also south of the land of Canaan. And basically, you always got Esau in there, man. Like whenever there's an opportunity to put hell on Israel, you always had the other nations come in and basically try to help assist defeat Israel. You know, you can read about that in the book of Judith when Holofernes during the Babylonian Empire came up to basically came up against Judea. You know, and you had various different nations come up and help him, and so you know many other instances when we were trying to rebuild the temple, the second temple. Basically, you had the other nations come up and try to stop that. Esau helped the Babylonians when Nebuchadnezzar overthrew Jerusalem. You read about that in Psalms 137, okay, and various other instances. So Esau is always in the mix to try to bring down Jake, you know, even if he's not the head person that's pushing that agenda. He's always there to assist. So you can go ahead, Baruch Shah.
Verse 4, it says, and they encamped against them and destroyed the increase of the earth till thou come into Gaza, and left no substance for Israel, neither sheep nor ox nor ass.
Right. So when you destroy the crops of all of the lands that we had, the majority of the land that we possessed was farmland. Yo, man, like that causes mass starvation, right? And to the point where, you know, again, the reason why this came upon us as a people was because we were, you know, worshiping other gods of the nations. But what ended up happening was the Lord, you know, he rose up a man to where we could basically be saved up out of that. But we're gonna get to that. Let's keep going, bro.
It says, verse 5, it says, for they came up with their cattle and their tents, and they came as grasshoppers for multitude. For both they and their camels were without number, and they entered into the land to destroy it.
Right. So all the sheep, the goats, donkeys, all the cattle were basically, you know, taken, man. You see, they were taken away. And again, that's how if you read the end of Genesis, like chapter 47 or 48, when Isaac came to stand before the king, before Pharaoh, he told Pharaoh that his people was basically shepherds by trade. You know, so imagine a whole nation of shepherds. Ultimately, if you don't have that land protected, it can easily be taken, right? So this is what happened. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 6, it says, and Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites, and the children of Israel cried unto the Lord Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to pass when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord because of the Midianites, that the Lord sent a prophet unto the children of Israel.
Right, so let's pause there, and I guess we can get Hebrews 1. We can get Hebrews 1 and 1. Again, most of this is just going to be like reading through the account, but any scriptures that come to mind, I'm going to quote them. But you see how Israel were reduced to starvation before they actually cried and turned to the Most High. You know, it's very interesting, but there was always prophets, even though this specific prophet wasn't named. It wasn't really necessary for him to be named, but it shows you that there were always prophets there. This was before Samuel. This was before, you know, Isaiah and Jeremiah and all the prophets that you know people think of when you think of prophets. But the prophets were always on the scene. You got it, brother. Whoever got
Hebrews 1.
you
started.
You could just get the point. In verse 1, talking about the time past.
Okay. Hebrews 1:1. The Most High, our God, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, hath in these last days spoken unto us by his Son.
Right. So, you know, the point which that's a heavy verse, but the point is the first part. The Most High at 70 times in diverse manners speaking to our fathers, our forefathers. And again, I mentioned it last night, but this is what vocab does. Vocab Malone does not want you to associate yourself with the Bible. He doesn't want us to identify ourselves as the people that were written in this book, because it keeps us in a position of having no heritage, not knowing where we came from, not having no self-esteem about ourselves. And that's what Esau has successfully done. But the Lord has allowed us through Yahushua, the comforter, the spirit that Yahushua has given us, to come into this understanding in the last days. But again, the point going into the prophets, they've always been on the scene, man. That was the reason why, I brought that up.
Can I get something for you?
Yeah, come on.
That term sun-dry times, according to my study Bible, it says in many portions. And this is one way in which vocab tries to discredit us by trying to pinpoint our prophecies. Case in point, the most infamous or famous one that we use to determine or show that we're Israelites is Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Well, he says, well, that wasn't talking about you guys. It's talking about this particular time period. During the time of Titus. So or where are the kings at now? That the kings of Judah. Since you guys could know you're Israelites, where's your registry,
right?
And things like this. Well, he doesn't understand that the nation of Israel, we fell numerous times. And a beautiful illustration of that is in Judges.
Yep.
Okay, and the reason why the underlying reason why we know that we're Israelites because we're standing on our latter feet. We're standing on our feet in our latter days, I should say. That's a number one indicator, which is from who the word ignorantly calls Jesus. His name is Yahushua, the spirit of prophecy.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right. Okay, so
I had a precept.
Okay.
You saying the prophets have always been on the scene. This is Luke 1 and 68. Blessed be the Lord, power of Israel, for he had visited and redeemed his people, and had raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began.
See that? So the prophets have always been, those are like the X-Men of the world, of reality. The non-fiction X-Men, the real superheroes, if you will, because those are the ones that are closest to the Most High. Ultimately the prophets are nothing but a vessel that the Most High uses to perform miraculous acts or speak his, whatever he wants to be said. But through those men, doing the Most High's will, he rewards those men, and they're always Israelites. The Most High can put the spirit on another nation like Balaam, for example, to prophesy, but the prophets of the Lord, they're on another level. Okay, and so yeah, kind. So if nobody else had any more precepts, we go back to the Judges 6.
Okay. This is Judges continuing on in verse 8. It says that the Lord sent a prophet unto the children of Israel, which said unto them, Thus saith the Lord, power of Israel, I brought you up from Egypt and brought you forth out of the house of bondage. And I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of all that oppressed you, and drave them out from before you, and gave you their land. And I said unto you, I am the Lord your power. Fear not the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you dwell, but ye have not obeyed my voice.
Right, and that's one of the 10 commandments, man. You're not supposed to have any other gods before the Most High. You're not supposed to have worship any of the gods, period. Okay, only the Heavenly Father, and through His Son, we're gonna, Lord willing, obtain mercy back to the Heavenly Father. That's the only entity that's worthy of worship on the level that you would worship a God upon. Because a lot of our people, man, even to this day, they still worship gods in various different ways. But idolatry was more open back then. It was more primitive, I'll say. Like they had physical, idols and shrines to various different gods. Now our people, they don't think that they're practicing idolatry, but a lot of them are. Most of them are. So let's go ahead and continue.
Verse 11, it says, And there came an angel of the Lord and sat under an oak which was in Ophrah, that pertained to Joash the Abizarite
Mm-hmm.
and his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he was basically, you know, because in order to make flour and things like that, you had to extract the husks, the grains, I'll say, out of the husk of wheat. You had to beat the grains out of the you know, the husk. That's called the husk of wheat, like the part that's fluffy at the top, and you had to do what's called threshing. It's the act of threshing. You also have winnowing process, but that's going into agriculture. But that was, you know, what a lot of people had to do in order to eventually make flour and things like that for bread. But he did that. He couldn't do it openly because it kind of takes a little bit of space. You have to have like an open, you know, area. You lay down the wheat, and then you thresh the top part, the husk, so that the grains can come out. But he had to do it behind the wine press because, again, the Midianites, they basically had control over like the land, basically. Like the Midianites were basically like how Esau has control over the land now, over this land. If we try to start, you know, selling water bottles on the corner, he gonna come up and question you about it. It's the same position that the Midianites were in back then. Okay, go ahead, bro.
And I got the blue letter for Gideon too. It says a hewer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like he was talking about what his profession was.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 12, it says, and the angel of the Lord appeared unto him and said unto him, the Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor.
Mm-hmm.
And Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this befallen us? And where be all his miracles which our fathers told us of, saying, did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord hath forsaken us and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites.
Right, and this is the position that we're in right now, even to this day. Like, a lot of our people, you know, may wonder, like, why did we go into captivity? Why did we go into slavery? See, Esau tricked a lot of our people into thinking that they're actually free, but they're going to see soon that they're not really free if they haven't seen it by, you know, these recent instances with, you know, Ye and Kyrie Irving. But basically, yeah, you know, we're still in captivity until this day, like the scripture says in Jeremiah. You know, the harvest is over, summer is ended, but yet are we still this day in captivity? You know, because but the Lord told the people why. He sent the prophet and let the people know why they were in that position. Okay, but you know, Gideon was like, well, if the Lord's with us, then why are we in captivity? Right. Oh, it reminds me of Second Ezra's. Let me get it real quick. Second Ezra's, I believe, the second chapter. You know, hold on one second. Second Ezra's. Can someone get Second Ezra chapter 3 and verse 20? You know what? Let's start at verse 30.
Mm-hmm. Second Ezra 3 and 30. For I have seen how thou sufferest them sinning, and hast spared wicked doers, and has destroyed thy people, and has preserved thine enemies, and has not signified it.
Yeah, because, you know, we could look at the prosperity of the other nations and see, well, damn, they're destroying us. How come the Lord isn't jacking them up for destroying us? They're doing wicked, they're doing evil, they're worshiping other gods, you see? But the Lord, you know, he holds us to a higher standard, man, because we made a pact with the Lord, man, a covenant, you know? And so you read that verse one more time, Sean?
Khan, this is Second Ezra 3 and 30. For I have seen how thou sufferest them sinning, and hast spared wicked doers, and hast destroyed thy people, and hast preserved thine enemies, and has not signified it.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Khan.
Verse 31. I do not remember how this way may be left. Are they then of Babylon better than they of Zion?
You see, so after looking at the position that the other nations may be over us, you may think that, dang, like, is the Lord really dealing with us? So this is the sentiment that Gideon was coming with when he heard the angel of the Lord say that the Most High is with him. Okay, but we got to believe that the Most High is with us, even in instances where it doesn't seem like we can come up out of the situation. Okay, but let's continue on Baruch Shah in Judges.
This is verse 14. It says, and the Lord looked upon him and said, Go in this thy might, and thou shalt save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have not I sent thee? And he said unto him, O my Lord, wherewith shall I save Israel? Behold, my family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house.
Right? Doesn't that sound? It sounds familiar. No, LD Yatsaki and myself have been going into 1 Samuel, and yeah, yeah, but also Saul actually,
too,
he was like, he was trying to be the king like that. He was like, well, damn, hold on, Benjamin, that's the smallest tribe. Like, you know, like my father is the smallest house of the smallest tribe. What's so great about me? You know, and that's a good spirit to be in, to be like, you know, humble and but you don't want to be timid to the point where you doubting, right? And so this is a good balance, like how we see Gideon react to what things that the Lord told him. This is a good thing to go off and see how to respond, okay? Because even though he looked at himself humbly, he believed in the Lord at the same time, okay? You got a precept or point?
Yeah, it just also made me think about Micah the 5th chapter, you know, when it prophesied of Yahweh Shah's coming, you know, how he's going to come from Bethlehem Ephratah, you know, how he's little amongst the thousands, you know, and then what was that Nathaniel had said in John the 1st chapter, can anything good come out of Bethlehem? You know, so the Lord has always chosen, you know, the despised and the poor and the lowly, you know, to pretty much, you know, fight his battles.
Right.
So that his power could be, so it could be shown that it's not them, it's not the vessel per se, it's him.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's continue on in the Judges.
Verse 16, Judges 6 and verse 16. And the Lord Yahweh said unto him, surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man. Mm-hmm. And he said unto him, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then show me a sign that thou talkest with me.
Right, so imagine this. Again, the Midianites were occupying, that's the word I was looking for earlier. They were occupying the land of Israel in droves of hundreds of thousands, man. You see? They were all up throughout the land, deep, taking all the fruits, all the vegetables, all the livestock, and saying, this is mine. And they was camping up, they was posted up, they weren't going nowhere. They basically occupied, they basically did what we did, you know, to the Canaanites. They did that to us, you know, to the point where like Israel was like weary, like, damn, are we through? You know what I mean? That's why they cried unto the Most High after they were on the brink of starvation, right? Okay, go ahead, Baba Kushab.
Verse 18, it says, depart not hence, I pray thee, until I come unto thee and bring forth my present.
Okay, actually, let's pause there. What's that scripture in Genesis where the angel of the Lord came to Abraham right before Sodom and Gomorrah, and basically like he did the same thing. He welcomed the angel. He welcomed the angel into his home. He like hurried up and quickly made the bread. You know, made the bread. This is basically what Gideon did. And when it says the Lord, like the angel of the Lord, this was a physical body, like, you know what I mean? Just like in Tobit, you know, the angel that was with, you know, Tobias, he was a physical, you know, he was in a physical body, occupying a physical body. The same thing here in Judges 6. Okay, so because again, it says in verse 12, the angel of the Lord appeared, you see, but when Gideon replied in verse 13, he didn't know that necessarily was an angel yet, you see, because he just appeared to him as a man. He didn't come with like, you know, the big, you know what I'm saying, like in a chariot or nothing like that. He just came to him as a man. Okay, so I just want to establish that real quick. Can you start back up at verse 16, Baal-Kashah?
Genesis 6 and 16, it says, and the Lord said unto him, surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man. And he said unto him, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then show me a sign that thou talkest with me. Depart not hence, I pray thee, until I come unto thee, and bring forth my present, and set it before thee. And he said, I will tarry until thou come again.
Right. So basically what Gideon wanted to do was basically get prove. He wanted the angel to prove to him that the Lord was really speaking to him, and it wasn't just some crazy person talking about, yeah, Gideon, yeah, you're gonna smite the Midianites, yeah. You know, so he used wisdom in that sense, right? Okay, so he said, okay, well, hold on, let me make this sacrifice real quick. Stay right here. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 19, it says, and Gideon went in and made ready a kid and unleavened cakes of an ephah of flour, and flesh he put in a basket, and he put the broth in a pot, and brought it out unto him under the oak, and presented it.
Okay, so let's pause there real quick, and we'll get this instance in Genesis. What was that, 18?
18.
Yeah, just to back up. Yeah, about Shah.
Genesis 18:1. And Yahweh appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day.
Right. So Abraham was posted up in his, tent door. It was noonday, right? And the angel of the Lord appeared to Abraham, but it was in a physical body, right? Go ahead.
And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground.
Mm-hmm. So it was actually 3. Mm-hmm. 3 men, well, angels, in the appearance of men, but Abraham, he immediately gave obeisance and reverence, to those to the angel of the Lord, right? Go ahead.
And said, my Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. For a little while, I pray you, be fetched and wash your feet and rest yourself under the tree. And I will fetch a morsel of bread and comfort your own, and comfort your hearts. After that, ye shall pass on, for therefore are ye come to your servant. And they said, so do. And thou hast said. And Abraham hasted in the tent unto Sarah and said, look, make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, kneaded, and make cakes upon the hearth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that shows you that that's basically like a tradition or custom. Whenever you have guests at your home, you're supposed to prepare a meal for them. You see, and so basically that's what Abraham did. So when I was going over this and Judges, made me think of that account. They were physical men that appeared to Abraham, just like how this was a physical. Well, excuse me, they appeared in a physical body. They weren't mere mortals. This is talking about the angel of the Lord here, but again, he appeared in a physical body, right? But we're going to read what happens in order for the angel to prove to Gideon that it wasn't just that he was sent from the Lord, right? So let's keep reading. Baruch Shah.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry to keep stopping you. I got a little bit from the commentary too, from the Bridgeway commentary. I'm gonna just read a little bit of it real quick. It says, in spite of an assurance of victory, Gideon was at first unsure of the Most High's call. Only after fire miraculously burnt up his offering was Gideon certain that the Most High had spoken to him. So we're about to read the details of that. So go ahead, Paul.
Verse 19, Judges 6 and verse 19. It says, and Gideon went in and made ready a kid and unleavened cakes of an ephah of flour. The flesh he put in a basket, and he put the broth in a pot and brought it out unto him under the oak and presented it. And the angel of the Most High said unto him, take the flesh and the unleavened cakes and lay them upon this rock and pour out the broth. And he did so. And the angel of the Lord put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand and touched the flesh of the unleavened cakes. And there rose up fire out of the rock and consumed the flesh and the unleavened cakes. Then the angel of the Lord departed out of his sight.
Right. So there was okay, Colin. Yeah, you can bring it up. I think we went into it, but
I figured y'all did. Yeah. Gideon's name means one who cuts down.
Mm-hmm.
A hewer,
Mm-hmm.
a feller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So he was a valiant man. He worked with his hands.
Omen.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So
type,
right. So but this miraculous act of the fire coming out of the rock and consuming that sacrifice confirmed to Gideon, okay, this ain't just no happenstance. All right, this is a real calling, and that's when the light switches on for us. When we get called into the truth, we may not have, a chariot with our name in Hebrew floating over us, telling you to come into the truth, but there's something that happens to where you believe in, you know, in Yahweh Shem Yahushua enough to go out on the highways and byways and start learning and coming up under the, you know, the order, man. You see, and that reminds me of a scripture. That reminds me of a scripture. Another one in Second Ezra. This one's in the first chapter. Second Ezra chapter 1, and like the last like 4 or 5 verses. Let me see real quick. It's like I didn't have all the precepts written down. This is kind of more like a you know,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying. Let me see. Actually, let's start at verse 37.
Say second Ezra 1.
Mm-hmm.
37.
Yeah, kind of.
Second Ezra 1 and 37. I take to witness the grace of the people to come, whose little ones rejoice in gladness. And though they have not seen me with bodily eyes, yet in spirit they believe the thing that I say.
Right. So this is talking about us, man. The men, you know, that's that's believing in Yahweh Shem Yahushua in these last days. We didn't see the wonderful things and the wonderful signs that Gideon may necessarily have saw, or the men of old have seen.
Man.
Right. I mean, of course, you know, we may see a chariot in the sky, you know what I'm saying, for 3 seconds or whatever the case is to confirm certain things. But the things like, you know, when Elijah the prophet confounded the 70 prophets of Baal, you know, with the sacrifice, you know, again, a fire coming down like from the heavens, like a lot of things, man, that we may read in the Old Testament of miracles, they may not necessarily happen as openly in order to confirm what we believe in. Okay, but it says it takes account of the grace of the people to come that have not seen Yahweh Shem Yahushua with bodily eyes, but yet they believe the things that is written in the scriptures, man. So that faith is like the scriptures say, is accounted for righteousness, man.
Hey, can I
Yeah,
can I read up for you? Check this out. Second Ezra 1 and 36. They have seen no prophets, yet they shall call their sins to remembrance and acknowledge them. So going back to what you said, because of what we heard, the witness from the apostles, you know what I'm saying, the bishops on down, you know, though they haven't did miracles, we believe that their witness, and it galvanizes our spirits to change.
Come.
Which is heavy. You know what I'm saying?
We also living in the days to where the Lord is showing who his men are. You know what I'm saying? With us being the fruit of those men through the Spirit, that's already happened for us. You know what I'm saying? But it's gonna intensify as we get closer to the end.
And a miracle within itself is us being here. This is a miracle too.
Yep.
Because it's biblical prophecy being, fulfilled. But look at the dead state we were in. Through the preaching of the word all around the world, you just see people calling themselves. That's a miracle. So don't act like we can't downplay the miracle that we're witnessing.
Right. Yep. It's a miracle that a lot of people, they may not recognize. They may not see it. It may not be as obvious as, you know, as certain things you may read in the scriptures, like, dang, did that really happen? Okay. But it's a miracle nonetheless, you know, because it's the works of the Most High. So let's continue on in this Judges.
Is there one real quick?
Oh, yeah. By the way, if any brother got any precepts.
Real quick.
Yeah.
John, this is John 20, and I started 29. John 20 and 29 to get straight to the point. Yahushua said unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed. Blessed are they that has not seen and yet have believed.
Yep. Those that have not seen and have still believed, they're blessed. Now, you know, Thomas, he was one of the 12, and ultimately the Lord chose him to be one of the 12 for a reason. You know, they were all the apostles, you know, were faithful unto death. And so, but it was still a testament of, like, you know, don't be too hasty to look for a sign. You know, if the Most High decides to show you a sign, then cool. But ultimately, it should be through faith, you know, that we operate. And also, again, what the Lord was calling Gideon to do was a very dangerous thing. He was about to basically the angel was telling Gideon that he was about to be the one to overthrow the whole structure of the opposing forces, which at that time was the Midianites. So that was a big deal, you know. So let's continue on. Was that it on that? Okay, cool. Let's continue on that. No, we'll just get a little bit more and we'll get your precept, bro.
Okay. This is Judges 6:22. It says, and when Gideon perceived that he was an angel of the Lord, Gideon said, Alas, O Lord power, for because I have seen an angel of the Lord face to face. And the Lord,
yeah, he thought he was doomed. Like he was like, yo, well, damn, I just seen an angel. I guess that means I'm about to go to the spirit world, right? That's what he was saying. Go ahead.
Verse 23, it says, and the Lord said unto him, Peace be unto thee, fear not, thou shalt not die.
Oh, the same thing happened with Samson's parents too. You know, Judges is a nice book. Samson's parents seen the angel of the Lord, and they said the same thing. They were like, "Damn, I guess that means we're gonna be put to death." But like, the angel told him, "No, he's gonna be a Nazarene, do this, this, and this." And then we know the legacy of Samson. You know, but let's keep going on. Actually, no, let's get your precept, bro.
It's Nehemiah chapter 9 and verse 26. It says, nevertheless, they were disobedient, and this chapter is pretty much like a summary of like the repeating cycles that we went through. We'll be good in good cases. In good case with Yahweh Shema Shah for a second, then we'll bug out. So apostasy, backslide, and then the Lord had to raise up another savior, and we go into captivity. So it says Nehemiah 9:26. Nevertheless, they were disobedient and rebelled against thee, and cast thy law behind their backs, and slew thy prophets, which testified against them, to turn them to thee, and they wrought great provocations. Therefore, thou deliverest them into the hand of their enemies, which in this time we were in the hand of the Midianites, who vexed them, and in the time of their trouble, when they cried unto thee, thou heardest them from heaven, and according to thy manifold mercies, thou gavest them saviors, who saved them out of the hand of their enemies. And this savior is Gideon, in this particular time.
Yep. And there were many judges in the book of Judges, but like I said, we're focusing specifically on Gideon. Maybe might not be read as often, as other stories, but it's still good, faith building history. Okay.
Oh yeah, Gideon comes up in Hebrews 11.
Yeah, we started off with that one. So that's it right there. So let's continue on. Baruch Shah.
Verse 24, it says, Then Gideon built an altar there unto the Lord, and called it Yahweh Shalom. Unto this day it is yet Ophrah of the Abizarites. It says, and it came to pass the same night that the Lord said unto him, Take thy father's young bullock, even the second bullock of 7 years old, and throw down the altar of Baal that thy father hath, and cut down the grove that is by it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a matter of fact, when you get that word grove real quick in the Hebrew, I'll get it really quick. Is Strong's H842 Asherah, which is basically Astarte or Ashtaroth. Okay, it's groves. So a lot of times when you see groves, because that word, it comes up 40 times in the scriptures. Every single time they're talking about the Hebrew word Asherah, every single time that it pops up, it's translated as grove. So you could just read it as grove, like, oh, grove, okay, a culmination of trees. But really, these were groves for idol worship, like it goes into in the biblical usage. It says a Babylonian / Canaanite goddess. Babylonians called it Astarte, Canaanite goddess of fortune and happiness. It says the supposed consort of Baal. So basically, Baal and Astarte or Ashtaroth or Asherah, they were like worshipped together. Baal's wife, basically, right? And we know the whole thing with Balenciaga, the translation of it in Latin, King Baal. So a lot of stuff's coming out on that, and so I thought it was interesting that was in there. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that out.
Yeah, all of those gods are back here.
Exactly.
Under different worship. That runs the vibration of the world. Idol worship. 100%.
Kind of. Yep. Also, in Grecian culture, Venus, Astarte or Ashtaroth is also that's where Esau they just renamed it. Esau, what say? Yeah, all that. Yep.
How did you worship Venus? You the woman dressed as a man and the man dressed as a woman. That was one of the many ways.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, nothing is new under the sun, man.
Drag.
We can go deep into the rabbit hole on that one, but we're just going to stay where it's at. You just know that was a big thing. There were specific poles that were put up in worship of Ashtaroth, basically. So you got it, Michelle.
Okay. Verse 26, it says, and built an altar unto the Lord thy power upon the top of this rock and in the ordered place, and take the second bullock and offer a burnt sacrifice with the wood of the grove which thou shalt cut down.
Right. So that same pole that was used to worship other gods, the Lord commanded Gideon to use that wood as fuel for the fire of the sacrifice that he was going to make. Go ahead.
Verse 27, then Gideon took 10 men of his servants and did as the Lord had said unto him. And so it was because he feared his father's household and the men of the city that he cannot do it by day, that he did it by night.
Yeah, because basically everybody in his city, well, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? If you were to go back to your neighborhood where you grew up and you went to high school and you posted up camp in the middle of your cul-de-sac, okay, and started preaching Yahweh Bashim Shai, all the Christian believers in the neighborhood gonna come out against you and be like, yo, what the heck is going on with this guy? Or if you go into your local church where you grew up and you went to middle school and you burn the picture of Jesus, burn that shit down to the ground, right? Everybody's gonna be looking for your head, right? So that's basically even though, well, that was basically the position that Abraham was in. He had to flee. Yeah, he had to flee Ur of the Chaldees, which his father, was supposedly a priest, in that area towards other gods. He had to flee from that. He had to leave that in order to really do what the Most High intended him to do. So sometimes you gotta, use wisdom. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta be wise as a serpent, right? And so that's why he didn't do it during the day. So the Most High was guiding his steps as well. It says fear the people, but it's not like he was just being smart about it. He did the Most High's work. It was just so that he couldn't get interrupted, right?
Well, Yahweh Shah said, prophet is not received in his own country.
Of course, yeah, exactly. Well, we're gonna see how unreceived he is after he did this. Go ahead, bro.
Okay. Verse 28, it says, and when the men of the city arose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was cast down, and the grove was cut down that was by it, and the second bullock was offered upon the altar that was built. And they said one to another, who have done this thing? And when they inquired and asked, they said, Gideon, the son of Joash, have done this thing. Mm-hmm. Then the men of the city said unto Joash, bring out thy son, that he may die.
Right, so here it is. The people were put to the situation of famine, starvation. They got Midianites occupying the land, but they trying to put a righteous man to death because they tore down the altar. Even though the prophet already came and said the reason why you guys are catching all this hell is because you worshiping other gods. So that's the spirit that shows, man. Like as I was reading this, I was like, man, that sounds like something Jake would do.
Niggas.
You try to take their pork away, you try to take their sweet Jesus away, okay, and they just start bugging out.
They're trying to kill you.
Yeah, Christmas. You know what I mean? You start cursing out everybody on Christmas, that's like we're in Christmas time, right? A lot of people probably got Christmas trees set up by now.
Set them on fire.
Yeah, you go in your family's house and or the big Christmas tree that's in the city, and you just cut that mug down, and you know what I mean? Like, yeah, people are gonna be like looking for you with pitchforks and torches, man. Right?
And that's the law. I got it real quick. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 12, and start at 1. These are the statutes and the judgment which you shall observe and do in the land which the Lord thy God hath given thee to possess it. Verse 2, ye shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which ye possess serve their gods, upon the high mountains and upon the hills, and under every great tree, Ye shall overthrow their altars and break their pillars and burn their groves with fire. Ye shall hew down the graven images of their gods and destroy the names thereof out of the place. So
That's why Gideon too ultimately was anointed to do what he did too. His name means hewer. To hew down those idols, man.
That's the spirit.
That's a spirit.
Yep, and that's like you said, Quan. That wasn't the law, man. So really, he was. Well, of course, we know he was doing righteousness, but you see how few and far between individuals like that were even back then. You know, we say back then, yeah, we were closer to the Most High. Yeah, but I mean, that doesn't take away from the fact that there was nothing but majority of people were nothing but niggas back then. You know, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they made it to the promised land. That's so crazy about it.
Yep. So that now it brings more weight to the reason why we're in this current position and all this stuff that we, you know what I mean? It's like, damn, like if we really lived one life and we just seen all the BS that the Most High did, all the BS that we did towards the Most High as a nation, you know, that's why going through the history is important. As I'm going through the history, you know, we've been doing it recently, I'm understanding more like, damn, yo.
Jake is a nigga. We did it ourselves.
Well, the book of Deuteronomy I just read, that was a reintroducing of the law. After that wicked generation died, Deuteronomy is the reintroduction to that new generation. So that's why the curses was in that. Like, if you fuck up this time,
That's your ass.
then what did we do?
Yep.
I was saying then now you got actual Israelites that's holding the grudge against the Lord. Like, why would he do this? Why would he do that? Like, bro,
That's the same niggas that was.
you know what I'm saying? And you can tell that same energy is back because dudes don't be reading. You know what I'm saying? These other groups, they don't read, bro. They don't. But they read what they told to read. I'll say that.
Right.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The rest of the book escapes them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they say these outlandish things, not knowing that no, that's not a grudge from 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
You done left and came back, and you know what I'm saying? It's a whole lot more to it than just that. I will say the Lord is not the author of confusion.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
Tell me why I got to pay for something happened 2,000 years ago, because you did something 2,000 years ago. Yeah, and then you did something this time. So yeah, you keep doing shit.
That's why the only, because this is a cycle, as we can see, it's only getting worse. It's a perpetual cycle of constant torture being here on this earth, and we keep jacking up. We're being this physical, corruptible bodies. The only solution to this is Ezekiel 36, man. You know what I'm saying? The law, statutes, and commandments being written in our inward parts. That's the only thing that's going to solve the problem forever.
Yep.
You know, and that's why Yahushua is so integral, because the only way to get to that is through him. You know?
Shit. I got one more.
Go on.
This is Matthew 23 and 29. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you build the tombs of the prophets and garnish the sepulchres of the righteous, and say, if we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. Wherefore ye be witnesses unto yourselves that ye are the children of them which killed the prophets. Fill ye up then the measure of your fathers.
Man, that's reincarnation.
That's it.
Yep. They were back. They were decorating the graves. They were like, these are our great prophets. You know, like these great men, Isaiah, Jeremiah. We would never do nothing to them if they was back.
Right.
Man.
Yeah, these the same dudes that killed Yahushua.
That's them.
It is you. You know, so that shows you that, you know, there's some wolves in sheep's clothing out there, but we're going to focus on doing the Lord's work, and everything else is, you know, going to be brought to the forefront in due time. So I guess we can continue on here. There's about 10 more or 8 more verses here in Judges 6.
Judges 6 and verse 30. It says, then the men of the city said unto Joash, bring out thy son that he may die, because he hath cast down the altar of Baal, and because he hath cut down the grove that was by it. And Joash said unto all that stood against him, will ye plead for Baal? Will ye save him? He that will plead for him, let him be put to death whilst it is yet morning.
Yeah, like basically Joash, which was Gideon's father, he kind of looked out for Gideon, because he obviously was trying to protect the son, but like they were trying to come against him for cutting down Baal's altar. Well, the whole city was worshiping Baal. Joash, Gideon's dad, was like, okay, well, if Baal is this powerful God, why don't you just let Baal take care of him? Let Baal, jack him up then, right? And so that's how Gideon got his name, Jerubbaal, which we're going to get the definition of it. But let's finish that verse real quick.
It's continuing on. It says, if he be a God, let him plead for himself, because one hath cast down his altar. Therefore, on that day, he called him Jerubbaal, saying, let Baal plead against him, because he hath thrown down his altar.
Right. So Jerubbaal is a compound word, and it means well, let me get it real quick. Strong's H3378, Yerah-Baal. Okay, basically says let Baal contend. So, and this was given to Gideon by his father when he destroyed the altar of Baal. So that was kind of the name. That was Gideon's name, and basically to everybody else, they thought that Gideon was cursed for destroying the altar of Baal, just like how they think that we are condemned for putting horns on Jesus.
They stepping on Jesus.
Yeah, that's sacrilege. Which really there ain't nothing sacred about white man Jesus, man.
They put horns on him.
You see, so that's the thing. So they calling us, whatever scoffer. They calling us wicked, but it's the same spirit that our people were in when they were trying to kill Gideon for casting down the altar of Baal, right? Okay, so that's how he got his name. That's how Gideon got his name, Jerubbaal. Okay, let's continue on.
Okay. Verse 33, it says, and all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the children of the east were gathered together and went over and pitched in the valley of Jezreel. But the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet. And Abiezer, was gathered after him. And he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh.
Yeah, and Abiezer is a clan, within Israel. Okay, and actually keep going in that verse,
Continuing on in verse 35, it says, who also was gathered after him, and he sent messengers unto Asher and unto Zebulun and unto Naphtali.
Right. So basically, he called those men to arms, saying, "Look, the Spirit of the Lord again had previously encouraged him to know that he was going to prevail against the Midianites, and it wasn't just the Midianites. We read it; it was Midianites and Amalekites, and then men of the east. So basically, these other nations, just like how Psalms 83 talks about the Confederate against the nation of Israel, they all basically come together, one consent, trying to sack Israel. You see, but now ain't nothing to sack. So now Esau going to try to come against us now. But yeah, we ain't what we got 401ks. Like there's nothing to sack. We're basically in guerrilla warfare mode. You know what I'm saying? Talking about the prophets now, like in the spirit, because this is a spiritual battle. We ain't talking about nothing physical. But basically the point is, you may be able to kill a little bit of the prophets off, like Revelation 20th chapter talks about, but ultimately the word is going to go out. Well, it's already out. As you can see, Kanye West talking about 12 tribes of Israel. So somebody got to be, preaching something, but let's go. Actually, yeah, let's continue. What was that, verse 35?
35.
Okay, yeah, so we got, 5 more verses? Okay, go ahead.
Continuing on in verse 35, it says, and they came up to meet him. Verse 36, and Gideon said unto the Most High, if thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said, behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the floor, and if the dew be on the fleece only, and it be dry upon all the earth beside, then shall I know that thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said. And it was so, for he rose up early on the morrow and thrust the fleece together and wringed the dew out of the fleece, a bowl full of water.
Right. So basically, what Gideon asked, Yahweh Shemashah to do was to prove that he was gonna, even though the Most High already, did that miracle to prove to Gideon that this was the Lord's will. Gideon asked for, another. He was just like, I just want to make sure, Lord, saying before I do this. Because it said the Spirit of the Most High came upon him and he blew the ram's horn and he was like, okay, look, let's rally up the troops. Let's get these guys together. And when you read the following chapter, it's like 30,000 men, around 30,000 men came to the call for battle, right? So he was like, okay, before I do this, let me make sure. He basically inquired of the Lord, man. okay, like how we're supposed to do. But he asked in a sign, he asked for a sign. And, you know, a lot of us don't have backyards and stuff, because we live in apartments and stuff, but what's supposed to happen is, you know, if you have any type of grass in the morning, it's supposed to be like wet. It's called dew on the ground. So he asked, if you dealing with me, Lord, I'm gonna put this piece of wool on the ground, okay, and if the ground around the wool is dry, which normally is supposed to be wet in the morning, you know what I'm saying? So the grass is supposed to be wet, but basically the Lord had it to where the grass was dry, but the actual fleece of wool had so much water in it. When he wrung it, it filled up a whole bowl of water. So that was a sign that the Lord gave Gideon. Let's keep going.
Verse 39. And Gideon said unto the Most High, let not thine anger be hot against me, and I will speak but this once. Let me prove, I pray thee, but this once with the fleece. Let it now be dry only upon the fleece, and upon all the ground let there be dew. And the Most High did so that night, for it was dry upon the fleece only, and there was dew on all the ground.
Right. So the Lord, you know, he did a third time. He did another thing to where, okay, like it basically to the point where he was fully persuaded in his own mind. As a matter of fact, let's get that scripture. Let every man be fully persuaded
14.
in his own mind. You know, because basically before, when you're called to action, before you actually go out to battle, you got to be ready to give up your life no matter what happens. You got to be ready, man. And basically Gideon was just, you know, he was asking the Lord to just give him those signs that he needed. And the Lord, you know, answered his call. He was merciful to Gideon and answered his call, or answered his request, I should say. And to the point where from that point on, Gideon was fully convinced. You got it?
Okay. Romans 14:5. One man esteemeth one day above another. Another esteemeth every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind.
Right. So again, it boils down to being fully persuaded that the Most High is dealing with you to the point where you don't let your conscience condemn you. You don't waver, okay? Because the Most High, he didn't give us a spirit of fear. He gave us the spirit of a strong mind.
That too.
Yeah.
So like
It all comes at all.
Yep.
Those are like, you know, hand in hand scriptures. You know, and any other precepts brothers got. You know what I'm saying? We could keep going on that, but really it's already been like a little while. I mean, the point is, Gideon, the Lord set up Gideon, and damn, really the 7th chapter is that's my favorite part. But you know, we can go into it later, Lord willing. But any other precepts brothers got?
I'll get that you just kind of quoted.
Yeah.
This is 2 Timothy 1:7. It says, "For the Most High have not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind." So having humility but not being timid, like we was discussing earlier, man. You know, that's the mindset we're gonna have to be in these days. You know.
Right. So, brothers, had any other precepts or points or anything like that? Yep. And I'm gonna just bring out this last part. When you read the 7th chapter in Judges, basically, again, Gideon had gathered about 30,000 men, but the Lord said that was too many men. Like, you know, the Lord said, look, you got to reduce the number of men, because Israel, they don't think that they were delivered, that basically that they delivered themselves. And so the Lord cut down the number of men in Gideon's army to show, again, as another sign, as another miracle, that it was the Lord's doing and not, you know what I mean? To the point where it was documented in the scriptures.
Right.
So the Lord, he's the one that fights our battles at the end of the day. You know, the Most High, he has a way of showing his men specifically, because the Lord's men are the only ones that's really going to get it. We're the only ones that's really going into the history and internalizing the message that's being conveyed in these historical accounts. And so basically, you know, that was the point I wanted to make. I think that was pretty much it. Y'all doesn't have no precepts? Okay. Hey, well, Lord willing, I brought Zod. This is edifying. With that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakadash.
Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect. Shalom.
Shalom.